Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be listening or watching us from. This is the Niger FC Podcast, and we are live. We are live. As always, my name is AyoT, and my co-host is.
Smith Layi. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you very much to everyone for joining. Before we get into it, let me just give a little bit of a disclaimer. I've not been feeling too well for the past 24 hours, so I might not be as energetic as usual. So, guys, please bear with me. But I still thought it was important for us to do this today. I didn't want to cancel on you guys. So just bear with me if I don't have the energy to argue and to fight you guys like I usually do. Um, but I still think that this discussion is important, and I'll make sure that I power through. It also just means that I might not be able to go long over the scheduled time, just because I think I need some rest. Um, but yeah, we have lots to discuss today. We have performances, we have Super Eagles talk, we have transfer talk, and then we also want to preview the season that is kicking off in just a number of days. Just a number of days. This weekend, most of the top leagues are resuming, and it's going to be an interesting season ahead. I can feel it. We always talk about how we want Nigerian players playing in Europe's top five leagues, and I mean I haven't been keeping track of the numbers over the years, but this season we have a lot of Nigerian players in Europe's top five leagues, and there's still potential for maybe one or two of them to join before the transfer window closes. So lots of interesting stuff that we're going to talk about today. Chinwo cases get well soon. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I don't even know what happened to me. I went for a wedding, I traveled, I had the best time, and then I flew back home, and all of a sudden, I just started feeling somehow. So maybe I just need rest. By the grace of God, it's just a matter of rest. Okay, but let's get into it. First topic today. Like I said, most of big leagues are kicking off this weekend, but some leagues have already started in Belgium. The lower leagues in England have kicked off as well. Czech Republic, Slovenia, Slovakia, Latvia, those places, they're already in action. And one Nigerian player in particular, I think, was a standout performer over this past weekend, scoring a hat trick for his side in their victory in the EFL Championship. I'm talking about Josh Josh Maja. Of course, Josh Maja has been called up to the Super Eagles in the past, and after then, it's kind of been very, very much out of the picture. But he has started this season with a hat trick in their win over QPR, and I just thought, rather other than just praising him and saying, "Oh, he did well," I wanted to ask, Smith Layi, with Josh Maja scoring a hat trick to start, let us imagine he can keep up his form for the rest of this season. Do you think that there's any chance that he can, get another call up to the Super Eagles? Let's start with that.
Yeah, why not? Why not? There's one thing that you have to know about him. His talent is never in doubt. That is a player that keep on delivering. Don't forget when he was in Bordeaux. I think you tracked him then too. He scored,
Yeah.
handful of goals in Bordeaux. Before he left too. When he was in Sunderland, he also scored a couple of goals too. And I remember when he also came to the Premier League. To join on loan with Fulham, the Nigerian contingent then, and Ola. He
Mm.
scored, I think he scored against Arsenal at the Emirates. He scored against Everton at the Goodison Park. So he's a guy that he knows how to actually score goals. Why not? Why not? He's a different type of striker compared to the ones we have.
Mm.
He's a very intelligent, the way he moves in the balls. If we are dominating opponent, he's a guy that if you give him the ball, he can actually he knows where the goals is. So when the goal is. So in my own opinion, I think that why not? Why not? Why not? If he's maybe before January, he's already on 15 goals or be
Mm.
20 goals. Why not? Why not? So for me, but because it's just unfortunate that for him that area were loaded, with some very leather and prolific striker. He started his
Mm.
own now with hattrick. We don't know what's going to happen this weekend.
Mm.
Maybe someone would just he might, so we never know. But for me, I think that Josh Maja is a very good player. I know he made his debut already. So when it's called, no, he didn't score. Sorry, he came on against Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah, against Ukraine. So he's not. He's still able to play for England, but I think he's. We can call him if he's really, really, doing well.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Well said. Somebody here says we should call Akpom first before him. And Akpom is a good reference point because Akpom, of course, lit up the championship 2 seasons ago. Where
Mm-hmm.
he was the player of the season in the championship. But of course, he made a move to Ajax, and that move to Ajax hasn't quite panned out as well as we were hoping it
You
would be.
sure? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he has been fantastic for Ajax. Ajax have struggled a bit in the past few years as well. Um, so it's very interesting to see how people think of things like this because Akpom has done amazingly well in the championship before, and then I think dropped off a little bit when he went to the Ajax. Last season, he scored 11 goals, 3 assists for Ajax. Not bad, but not great. Um, but yeah, it's interesting to see how people look at that. But for me, I would say if he's doing well in the championship and Akpom is doing okay in the Eredivisie, I don't know how we decide who we think is more deserving of a call up because are we going to judge Akpom based on 2 seasons ago in the championship, or are
Mm-hmm.
we going to judge him based on what he's currently doing for his club in Holland? So interesting. But I hope he's able to keep up this form. Like you said, our forward positions, our strikers were loaded. We have so many options. But I think the more the merrier. Let's get as many players firing as possible. It's a good headache to have for whoever is making the selections. Victor Balogun says no need for Josh Maja, in my opinion. MySpace Play says Josh who LOL, sorry, but one hat trick isn't enough for me. And yes, one hat trick is definitely not enough. We're not saying call him up because of one hat trick.
If it
What I said
continues.
was if he continues like this and is having a prolific season, does he have a chance? Not just that one hat trick, call him up. Um, and then let me see. Elite says others always fail to turn up. The plethora of strikers we called against Benin and South Africa couldn't deliver without Victor Osimhen. Okay, so speaking about Super Eagles, speaking about chances for Super Eagles, of course, we know that Nigeria, the national team, we have two matches that are coming up in less than a month now. In fact, in 25 days, we're going to be taking on Benin Republic in the AFCON 2025 qualifiers, our first game of the AFCON qualifiers. And we are without a head coach, but there's some conversation that has been going on, some talk in the rumor mill about an interim head coach potentially taking over that position. Smith Layi, what can you tell us about that?
No, officially, we have been looking for a national team manager since February, since February 10.
Hmm,
So it's now 6 months. We're still searching for that manager. Maybe it's the beautiful bride. We don't know.
hmm,
But in my own, okay, we didn't beat Benin Republic yesterday. We beat. Oh, sorry, we didn't lose to Benin Republic yesterday. We lost to Benin Republic in June. I think it was June that we
hmm,
lost to Benin Republic around maybe June 10 or so. So we've been looking for head coach since then. When Finidi actually stepped down from that job. I don't know why we still find ourselves in this situation. That is now 25 days before the crucial game. Now we are going for interim. So I think when you want to see when they are planning something, you will see that some people will come out from different quarters to push for it. I
hmm,
saw one man saying that, oh, Nigeria should go for interim. That's when you know that this thing actually gathering momentum. And I'm hearing that it's Salisu Yusuf, the former 23 coach, former assistant coach of Super Eagles, former Chan Eagles coach too. Salisu
hmm,
Yusuf is highly favored to actually to be there as the national team manager for the two games. But we all know that it's practically impossible for him to just come for two games. So if he comes for two games and maybe probably we got a win and a draw, he will stay till October
hmm,
for the two games because there's no way they will appoint a manager. And if he maybe gets a good result again, he's going to stay till November. That's all. Before you know it, he's the one in charge of the local qualifier. So
hmm,
that is what they actually were trying to push. And it's actually what unfortunate that we have people that don't even know what they are doing at all. It's a very, very big shift because with this game in September is very important for Nigeria because the two opponents we have in September, we're also playing them in the World Cup qualifier. So this one should be like a friendly game for the new coach coming in so that he would know how to approach that game next year because it's very important for Nigeria. So it's a shame, but I think Salisu Yusuf is a favorite. Maybe probably going to be assisted by maybe probably Dana Mukashi. We don't know how they're going to set up the technical crew, but it's actually what highly unfortunate.
Hmm. And similarly, Salisu Yusuf is a name that has been in this Nigerian football hemisphere for such a long time. We're
Mm.
always hearing him. He's always within these conversations about coaching, assistant, interim, all sorts of things. Why is it that the NFF cannot seem to do without this man? It almost feels as if he has a chokehold on them and he must be within the setup. Why is that?
Maybe it's a shareholder in NFF. We don't know. Or maybe we don't because you since 2016, he's been a name that everywhere. Anytime there is a vacant job, it's going to pop up.
Hmm.
Anytime there's a vacant job, it's going to pop up. In fact, he nearly got the job ahead of Kenneth Raw when somebody left in
Hmm.
2016. He nearly got the job. So it's a guy that has been controversial too. If you remember his case during the Chan when he was caught on TV on camera collecting bribe. He was punished. For 1 year by the NFF. But for me, I think that is practically not enough because it's like you just slap somebody on the wrist, and that person you now retain the person again. I don't think that is actually what enough. So it's also, his last job was to relegate Kano Pillars, from the
Hmm.
Nigerian Premier League, and he also failed to qualify Nigeria for the Olympic Games. He called a player from Division 9. He called a player from that we are not even sure of nationality.
Hmm.
So it's a guy that has not delivered. He also coached the Chan team. He failed to qualify for the last Chan tournament too. So he's a guy that his track record does not really actually speak well for him. But I just don't know why his name is actually very is high up in the NFF. And if you also talk to his supporters too, he said he's very intelligent. But how can somebody be very intelligent and then the output is very poor like this? I say
Hmm.
he studies a lot. He does. Well, if he's studying a lot, we should actually see the output of what he's trying to do. So, in my own opinion, I just think that he's the favorite of the NFF, but I don't know the reason why he just keep hanging around.
Hmm. And for me, I've said this a number of times. I
Mm-hmm.
think, or let's even if we look at the fact that it's not like the man is uber successful, in terms of his coaching accolades. I think in his career, he's won the Nigerian FA Cup twice, he's won the MPFL once,
Mm-hmm.
but the last time he won a trophy in Nigerian football was in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, for the past 11 years, he hasn't won anything. Like you mentioned, under 23 is the one that did not help us to qualify for the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the biggest question mark is the fact that this is not a rumor. This is not trying to badmouth him. This is a fact with literal evidence. He
Mm-hmm.
was caught on camera accepting bribes to
Mm-hmm.
select players into the Chan squad.
Mm-hmm.
This was a while ago, but it happened. And
Mm-hmm.
I always say, like, for me, when somebody commits a cardinal sin like that, I don't think that the person should still have a chance of even taking control of the biggest national team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that he's not going to do things that, I mean, maybe he'll be more careful because he has been caught before and doesn't want them to catch him again. But
Mm-hmm.
I just think he should not even be considered for something like this. But unfortunately, he is still being considered. He is still a name that is always in the mix. And if he takes charge of the team, I cannot say what I'm expecting. I
Mm-hmm.
honestly cannot say what I'm expecting. I think that the players that we have, are good enough to get a positive result. But I don't want them to now use the potential positive results as a reason to justify him taking over the team. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, yes, we've struggled in water qualifying against the same Benin Republic. We lost to them, but even if he beats Benin Republic now, it doesn't mean that he's the right man for the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that the NFF don't use this as a cop out, don't use this as an easy way out, and continue with their search, their hunt to hire a proper coach for the Super Eagles, because the team needs some kind of stability. The team needs some kind of a real leader that is guiding them in the right direction. And without that, I think things will continue to be shaky. Will
Mm-hmm.
continue to be shaky for us. I don't want to talk too much about the man, but again, I just think that it's a bit laughable for us that these are the coaches that we continue to recycle, for lack of a better term. And we continue to give opportunities because in every other walk of life, in every other field, you don't get away with things like this. People are not, that something like this sells your name forever. Nobody's going to give you a chance again, unless maybe you travel to another country where they don't really know you and you try to rebuild yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Let me just see what people, you want to say something?
I just want to say that another thing being thrown into the mix also is also the current technical director of the Super Eagles of the Nigerian football. Eguavon is also being thrown. But for me, he was also in charge of the Nigeria worst ever AFCON.
Mm.
In like 40 years, and also he also failed to qualify Nigeria for the World Cup. So in my own opinion too, if you are considering him, I don't know why we are like this. We seem to forget things so easily. So it's a very big shame.
Mm. Okay, let me just take some comments very quickly. Temi says Eguavon is the coach now. Relax. Okay. Chinwoke says, how come England hired a coach before us? It's quite crazy. 2 months plus gone and no updates. Every day it's one update or the other from one goal or one source updates from a journalist. Adedatun says Salisu Yusuf cost us Chan and Olympics. Levitico says LMAO, they don't want us to qualify. Why? Chinwoke says they are really joking with Nigerian football. Victor Balogun says this thing called Super Eagles is just a joke. Um, Elite says, I think the problem with the NFF is that they just don't have the money to engage their usual journeyman foreign coach. Onyechi says it's all about meeting the quota system. Temi is also asking, what has Salisu ever achieved as a coach? Let me see. Abdul Jalil says, I don't think Salisu Yusuf will be given a job as interim coach, but let us wait and see. Anyways, um, and then Victor is asking a question. He says, why can't we look at quality coaches in the CAF leagues, such as Florent Ibenge and other similar ones? Smith, do you have an answer to that question?
Yeah. That is Flores Ibenge, Piso Mosimani. These are big boys, but maybe because they will not bend to what they actually want. That's the reason why.
Mm,
And to back this thing up too, IoT, Ibenge left DR Congo. He went to go and prove himself in Morocco, and he also won the CAF Confed Cup with a Moroccan club.
mm,
So to tell you that he left his comfort zone to go and prove himself in Morocco, that's what I keep on saying to Nigerian coaches too.
mm,
Leave your comfort zone, leave that Nigeria, go elsewhere, go to Ghana, go to Mali, go and prove yourself. Go to North Africa, go and prove yourself. When you merit, you give you the job. For example, now the
mm,
coach of Sundance left Sundance to go and prove himself. Now it's now in a wide Casablanca of Morocco. What that? So prove yourself. So for me, I don't think they will give him Benga. Benga does not take nonsense.
mm,
So it's as good as even probably Avarinad. I won't let you. It's very very tactical. So, but they won't give him because I think he knows what he wants.
mm, mm. All right, all right. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess, let me ask you this question: if you had your pick, who would you want them to give the interim job to?
There's nobody currently in Nigeria now that can handle the national team. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
There's no coach in Nigeria now that can actually handle the Super Eagles. There's no coach. There's no.
Strong, 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 strong words from Smith Layi. There is no coach in Nigeria right now that can handle the Super Eagles. But yeah, regardless, let's see what happens. We're still waiting for the squad announcement to come out as well. Hopefully in the next week or week and a half. And then hopefully when that happens, they also let us know who is going to be taking charge of the team because the way we are running our things right now, it doesn't bring excitement. It doesn't
Mhm.
bring that positive feeling. I really hope that they don't mess this thing up entirely for us. I really do hope so. But yeah, let's not spend too much time on that. Let us move forward because we have a lot to cover today. The next player that I want to talk about is a player, switching to performances. I know that this is a player that Smitlai likes. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. He's a young player, he's a midfielder, somebody that is primed as, one of the future stars of Nigeria's football, one of the
Mhm.
future stars of Nigeria's midfield. I'm talking about the young boy known as Ebenezer Akinsanmiro. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, Ebenezer Akinsanmiro is currently playing for UC Sampdoria on loan from Serie A club Inter Milan. And over this past week, he made his debut for Sampdoria. They won on penalties in the Coppa Italia, a tough game against Como, I believe it was.
Como, yeah.
Um, yeah, he played as a number 10. Did some good things in that match. I know when I looked at his stat sheet, let me just open that very quickly. I know that he did pretty well. Full disclosure, I didn't watch the game, but I went back and I watched his actions after the game. He played 76 minutes, through dribbles, 81% passing, was strong in his doors with 7 doors won, you know. But a lot of people I saw on social media, people that watched the game, were quite pleased with how he performed. So, Smith Layi, I wanted to ask you, what did you think of his debut? And, is his future really as bright as we think it is?
Yes, yes. It's a guy that that he will not belong in Sampdoria. It won't belong. It won't belong there before actually what maybe move back to Inter or get a better move. It's a guy that is a pure talent. This is what we don't want for Nigeria. It's a pure talent, fantastic player. He's always he doesn't hide during the game. He's always there to get the ball. He likes to get the ball in tight spaces. He moves the ball well. He likes to get the final pass. He's always in the box too. In case there's any rebounds or anything. He's a guy that wants to actually what get to the action. You won't you will imagine that is a guy that was playing for the under 19s, just last season, and he's a guy making his first team debut and performing like this. And it shows something too that Andrew Pillow, the coach of Sanford, they actually would
Sampdoria.
trust him because of for him to throw him against a Serie A club.
Hmm.
Don't forget Como is a Serie A club coached
Yeah.
by Sex Fabregas. It was so important in that game. What I really like about him is the way he moves the ball, and it doesn't lose possession. I actually would enjoy that. Fantastic player. He's a player with bright future, and he's another player too that did not pass through the age grade system.
Hmm.
Maybe he left unnoticed. That to tell you the rot. He left unnoticed. So he's a guy that is the future of Nigeria Super Eagles midfield.
Hmm. Is the future of Super Eagles
Super
midfield.
Eagles midfield, yes.
Did anybody else watch the game? What do you guys think about Ebenezer Akinsanmiro? Um, just let me know your thoughts very, very quickly. If you watched the game, if you saw his performance, if you saw his statistics, what are you thinking about the boy? I'm definitely going to watch more of his games this season
Mhm.
for sure. I think I missed the game because I was traveling, like I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, but I still went back to watch his actions, and he had a pretty steady game.
Hmm.
Didn't do too much. He didn't play with too much nerves.
Hmm.
And I honestly believe that the signs that he's showing already, it looks like he can be a quality player.
Yeah.
He can be a quality player for us, for sure. Um, Chinwoke says, "My joy is that he's being coached by Perlo." Yes,
Yeah.
Perlo is not a bad coach to have at all. Someone
Hmm.
who commanded the midfield in his time, in his playing days. He can teach him so many things, and that's definitely going to be good for him. Victor Balogun says, "That boy is special," with an exclamation mark. So Victor Balogun is definitely excited about the potential of Ebenezer Akinsanmiro. Um, Temi says Chrysanthus Uche Akinsomere too. We are cooking in midfield by God's grace. Taiwo Kunade says he was given a standing ovation when being subbed off.
Hmm.
Very tactical. Only hope Victor Letu improves as well. It will really help the Super Eagles. Emeka says he didn't leave unnoticed though. NPFL knew him from beyond limits. Do you want to talk about that, Smith?
Yes, he came on. He played in the MPFL like 2 or 3 games for Raymond Stars. But the issue is that he never got considered for the under 20. He never got considered for the under 17. They said they called him for the under 20, but his name was like a placeholder in that team. They knew who they're going to pick. So they already had that Daga to Shikunadi in that team already. So, in my own opinion, it didn't pass through Nigeria 8 grade system. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm,
So it's a guy that just from beyond limit played like few games for Remo. So he was scouted in the Vareggio Cup in Italy. So it wasn't through Nigeria 8 grade system.
mm. So that's what he means by he left on notice. He didn't go through the, the
Great,
youth
great system.
system.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously he was playing for Beyond Limits, so
Yeah.
some people must have seen him and must have noticed him.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that if you don't go through the age grade system, relatively unnoticed. And the
Yeah.
interesting part is that a lot of our players that are rising to the top now are players like that that
Mm-hmm.
did not pass through the age grade system, did not play for us at youth level, but we are
Mm-hmm.
seeing that they are doing a lot of things at the highest
Mm-hmm.
level, and progressing well in their careers. Okay, let us move on very quickly for the sake of time. We've spoken about that performance, and now let's get into a little bit of transfer talk. A little bit of transfer talk. Um, I'll start by a rumor. I'll start with a rumor. A Super Eagles midfielder, a player that could potentially be on the move. I'm talking about Frank Onyeka. We've heard, the past few weeks that Onyeka is open to leaving Brentford over lack of playing time. He's not too happy with the playing time that he's currently getting. And, a host of teams are interested in him. But I think one name that has been strongly linked with Frank Onyeka is Girona. Girona, the sister club of Manchester City, playing in the Spanish La Liga. So, Smith, Lai, what do you have? Any update on the links between Frank
Yeah.
Onyeka and Girona?
I think the Ginola is nearly done, but there is a slight issue with the deal. I think Brentford were about to complete a move for a Kujuste. Is it Kujuste from Napoli? One midfielder, a midfielder from Napoli. They were about to
Mm,
complete the deal. I think the deal actually went off in the last minute. I think the boy, just like Samuel Moridion, the same
mm,
situation actually happened to Kujiste. I think the deal actually went off. So if that boy they signed the boy, I think automatically Frank Onyeka will actually leave. So, but I think Frank Onyeka wanted playing time. So, and if Thomas Frank cannot actually guarantee playing time, I don't think Frank Onyeka actually, Kajuste, thank you. I don't think Frank Onyeka will actually stay. Girona is not a bad club. They're going to be playing in the Champions League, and also don't forget that Onyeka, this is not the first time that Onyeka will play in the Champions League. I think he also play Champions League with Midtjylland of Denmark.
Denmark.
Maybe he wants to return to the Champions League. And there's also some Premier League clubs too interested. I think they mentioned like Leicester City and Ipswich Town. Also interested. But I think the Girona interest is very concrete. So I still expect him to move. I still expect him to move.
Mm. And I mean, moving to a team that's competing in Champions League obviously will not be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Girona had a fantastic season last season. Can they
Mm-hmm.
repeat it? We have to wait and see. But we know they have good backing, they have good owners.
Yeah.
They are investing in their team, and it's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
Mm-hmm.
I think in a sense, I guess we can say it's a good thing that he's looking for playing time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Frank Onyeka is what, maybe like 26,
Yeah.
27 right now.
26, yeah.
So obviously he's at a stage in his career where he needs to be playing because
Mm-hmm.
he's getting to the peak of his powers. And for
Mm-hmm.
the past few seasons, he's been fairly comfortable on that bench of Brentford. Brentford
Mm-hmm.
is a mid-table team. They are
Mm-hmm.
never really, really in serious contention to get
Mm-hmm.
relegated, but they're also not a team that competes, for anything in the season.
Yeah.
So if you can get a chance to go to Girona, play in the Champions League, maybe try to compete with the likes of Barca, Real Madrid,
Mm-hmm.
Atletico in the La
Mm-hmm.
Liga as
And
well. It
Sevilla.
could be a good thing for him, and I think it could help with exposure, will help with his visibility as well.
Mm-hmm.
But let us keep monitoring that situation. Let us see what happens there. But nevertheless, we wish him all the best. I mean, the Premier League season is starting soon, so I'm sure that he'll be keen to get it sorted out as soon as possible. But of course, the transfer window is still open for the rest of the month, so there's still quite a bit of time to make these things happen.
Yeah.
Um, I see Temi says Girona is a city football club, is a city football group club. Yeah, good football institution, not a fluke. Yes, not a fluke, but it's never that easy to
Mm-hmm.
repeat. Other teams are going to be stepping things up as well. Teams like
Yeah.
Sevilla that messed up last season, they
Yeah.
are bolstering up their squad. They're trying to sign new players.
Valencia.
But let's see how it goes for sure. Let's see how it goes. Okay, moving on to more transfer talk. More transfer talk. This one is a completed transfer. Is a transfer that, as I maybe caught a lot of people off guard. A lot of people maybe were not expecting this to happen. I think people thought that this player might move, but then where he ended up moving to was a surprise to many people. And this can even fit for more than one player. But the first player I'm going to talk about is a Super Eagles player. It's a player that has represented Nigeria in the past and has had his fair share of issues over the past few years. Ranging from indiscipline to unfair treatment from his club, all sorts of things. I'm talking about Kelechi Nwakali. Kelechi Nwakali, of course, completed a move to Barnsley FC in the EFL, the English Football League One. He made a statement on signing saying, "In my career, I need to prove a point again. Coming here, it's time to prove myself to the world and have an impact on the club." Smith Layi, I know that you've had a lot to say about this boy in the past. So now that he has moved to the League One with Barnsley, what was your immediate reaction to this transfer?
So, in fact, when I saw the move, like you said earlier, it caught me by surprise. I was surprised too because
I
of
cannot hear you.
sorry, when I saw the move. Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you still hear me? Maybe
Is it just me? Can you guys hear Smith?
can you guys hear me, guys? I don't think
Okay, I can hear
okay.
you now.
Okay, all right. So maybe you can just take I can hear see myself back. So when I heard the move, I was slightly surprised because I wasn't surprised, or it's just in the middle because I know that probably he has to move based on what happened last time around when he was on the bench and was pressing phone. That was pure indiscipline. So I knew that Nash would move on, but we're extremely unsure. I think you can echo. So I think we're extremely unsure where it's gonna actually when it's gonna actually end. But for me, I just think that for a player that well talked about in Nigeria, that anytime there is super good list, they will say that where's Wakali? I think Echo is coming from your side. So they will say that I think the echo is okay. Yeah, I think it's better now. So when anytime the Super Eagles leagues, we always say that where's in Wakali? Or anytime Super Eagles lose a game, say, oh, because we don't have a creative midfielder, it's always there. But for me, I just think that it's a guy that I think, up to this stage, he has not fulfilled his potential. He's a guy that's won the Golden Ball when Nigeria won under 17 World Cup in 2015. I expected a lot from him, but unfortunately, things didn't actually work out well for him. For me, he's very talented, but I think talent is not enough to make it in football. This move is a move that can either work well for him or can go bad for him. So one is for people that are saying that it's in EFL, it's in League One. League One is the third division in England. So they see championship before the Premier League. So I hope that and it joined Barnsley. Barnsley finished sixth in League One. Let's hope that they can actually do well this time around. For me, I think that at 26, at 26 in in third division in England, is a very very is a big deal for me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you. Of course, Nwakali has faced a lot of criticism in his career,
Mm-hmm.
like you rightly mentioned, for various reasons, things that were his fault, things that were not his fault.
Mm-hmm.
But he's saying that he has something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I look at it, of course, I'm not happy that he's going to League One.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality. I wish he was playing at a higher level. Even at least playing in Portugal first division last season was a
Mm-hmm.
good thing to me. Unfortunately, his team got relegated. He
Mm-hmm.
had some disciplinary issues with them. But when I look at it, I say at the end of the day, for me, I cannot fault somebody for trying.
Mm-hmm.
You can either face difficulties and then just put your head down and don't do anything about it, or
Mm-hmm.
you can face difficulties and say, you know what, I want to push myself, I want to get back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe England is a country that he feels comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
England is a country that he feels like maybe he knows. He was initially signed to Arsenal even though he didn't really play for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, while the third division is not where we want to see him, I'm happy that he wants to give it a real go. I'm
Yeah.
happy that he wants to challenge himself. we've seen him try in La Liga, we've seen him try in Portugal, and he hasn't been able to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a challenge in League One is what he needs. Can he
Mm-hmm.
stand out in the League One and be a quality player for Barnsley? If he does well in the League One, maybe a championship team comes for him and he
Mm-hmm.
goes up the next level. Even if his club doesn't get promoted, maybe somebody in the championship comes for him and he can
Mm-hmm.
go to the next level. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the 3 years, who knows? He can be in Premier League if everything works out well for him. But so I cannot fault him for trying. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality of it is that there's many things that he needs to change. His discipline, his focus. He needs to really, really hone down, focus on his football, and put in his best. Put in his best. I understand that. I'm somebody that I always say that let footballers have and live their lives the
Mm-hmm.
same way we all live our lives. But I think he's somebody that, even if just for perception's sake, just for perception's sake, he should maybe try to reduce the amount of play that he puts out there to the world. Because a lot of people already have a negative perception about him. People think he's unserious. People think he doesn't focus on his football, things like that. So I think even if for perception's sake, he should reduce the amount of play, reduce the amount of banter, and just try to really, really focus on football and let people see that he is focusing on football. I'm somebody that I like to take the side of players that gets picked on. And that was one of the things that initially drew me to Kelechi Nwakali, because a lot of people were picking on him, and I wanted to just be a positive, um, I'll say a positive voice in a room filled with negative voices. But at the end of the day, me, I always say, um, if something keeps on happening to the same person over and over again, we cannot just keep on blaming, everybody else. At
Mm-hmm.
some point, you have to look inwards. You have to look at yourself. That, why is it always me that this thing is happening to? I remember Mario Balotelli when it was at Man City, and it felt like, oh, they're always talking bad about him. They're always trying to tarnish his image, things like that. But then at the end of the day, we realized that this guy self in brain they touch, he's not a normal guy. So that's kind of how I look at it. He needs to really be introspective and look at himself and say, okay, what are the things that I can fix? Even if, again, like I said, even if it's just a matter of public perception, you can still play behind the scenes, but let people just look at you and say, okay, this guy is really working hard. He's really trying hard to get his career back on track. Will
Mm-hmm.
he keep playing for the Super Eagles? No. He's already not been in the setup. I don't think now that he's in the League One is when
Mm-hmm.
we're now going to call him back to the Super Eagles. But again, I always say, like, unfortunately or fortunately, football doesn't revolve around the Super Eagles. He can still have a good life, a good career, even if he doesn't play for the Super Eagles. But
Mm-hmm.
it's all about how he makes things right from here. I believe Kelechi Nwakali is 26 years old now, so
Mm-hmm.
he's supposed to be getting to the peak of his powers. Now
Mm-hmm.
is the time for him to focus for the next 3, 4, 5 years
Mm-hmm.
and try to at least reach a respectable level, reach a level that people can look at and say, okay, despite the many downs that he had in his career, despite the many downs he had in his career, he's still able to get back on track. He's still able to do something good so that when he retires, he wouldn't feel like he let himself down.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the important things. You don't want to be looking back when you're 50 years old and be saying, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that. So I'm really wishing him all the best. I hope that he can get back on track.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think he's going to get caught up to the League One, to the Super Eagles from League One, but I think he should just try, like he said, he should try to prove himself, prove that there's still a quality player in there, be a standout player in the EFL League One, and let's see where life takes him.
Yeah.
You want to add something?
Yeah, I just want to say that like you mentioned one important thing that if something keep happening all the time, you have to be able to self-examine yourself and think maybe probably it could be actual or it could be inward. So when it was in the Dutch league, when it was in the Dutch league, he did well in the second division in the Dutch league. So a lot of people think that okay, it's now high time for him to move on to the first league. He didn't make the move. We all celebrated when he was in FC Porto too. That's okay. Maybe probably could break in to the first team because Porto promotes young players. That didn't happen. So we also look at when you said you mentioned something that visibility. It was in Uesca. There was the second division then. We thought, oh, the second division in Spain, at least some Valencia, Sevilla can see him play in second division. They can buy him. I can tell you that even that Huesca self, he left that place to a relegation club. They didn't even notice. So I want to ask you a question now. Why do you think that clubs are not taking that gamble? Top clubs, like at least decent club are not taking the gamble in the first division on Kelechi Nwakali.
I think it's just a matter of he's not showing enough. At the end of the day, these clubs, um, they have to really, really see a lot from you, see that you can compete at this level, and he's not showing enough. When he was in Spain, things started to go a little bit right for him. Even though they started playing him as a deep lying playmaker, he was controlling the midfield a little bit. But then, like we mentioned, one thing or the other always seems to derail him. He can be doing well, and then all of a sudden, one disciplinary issue, he stops playing. So it's not every team that is ready to take that kind of gamble, especially if you are not like a top player, where they look at it and they'll say, okay, we will deal with your nonsense because we know what you are going to give us on the field. What he's given on the field so far is not enough for clubs to say, okay, we will deal with your nonsense. That's why it is a club like Barnsley that is able to take that kind of gamble and say, okay, if things work out, the benefits to us can be a lot higher than whatever issues he has been going through. And if things don't work out, well, it's not like it was a big money move. It's not like he's on some heavy salary, things like that. So at the end of the day, like I said, I think he needs to just look inwards. He needs to refocus. He needs to make sure that what's the word? He's setting himself on the right path, and hopefully things can be good for him this season. I normally don't watch the League One like that, but I'll tune into a couple games of Barnsley to see how he's performing, you know,
Yeah.
and hopefully when I watch, he impresses, and maybe we can come here and sing his praises a little bit in the future. But we have to wait and see how that goes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see a few people are saying different things. Temi says Barnsley will come back up. Just watch. Okay. And then Emeka says EPL is a good spotlight for him to improve and get promoted to the first division league. I believe he's talking about the EFL. He's talking about the EFL. Um, yeah, so let's see how it goes. Let us see how it goes. Taiwo Kunade says, I think it's a good move for him if he will be serious. A championship team can snap him up and later on possibly get a move to the English Premier League. So, of course, all these things are hypotheticals. Ultimately, what happens in his career, I think, is going to be dependent on him. If he can stand out in the EFL League One, a lot can still happen. He probably still has maybe another, I don't know, he's 26. He can probably play for another 9, 10 years, depending on how his body carries him. So
Mhm.
anything, anything can really happen. Someone says, Ayo, we would really love to hear Nwakali's story. Get him on an interview if possible. Okay. If he's willing to talk, I'm always happy to share the stories of these players, But let's see, let's see. Okay, let's move on very quickly to another transfer that happened. Another Super Eagles player, another transfer that shocked many people, was not what they were expecting. A player let me not say that has a bright future, a player that has a lot of potential. I'm talking about Alhassan Yusuf. Alhassan Yusuf, 24 years of age, and he has completed a move to New England Revolution in the United States Major League Soccer. You know, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? We were talking about another player that moved to the MLS in Chidozie Awazie. And, a lot of negative things or not so nice things that people said about that move and about his future. So, Smith Layi, I'll throw this one at you. Alhassan Yusuf, one of the players that showed a lot of quality at the AFCON when he, was on the field for the Super Eagles. A player that has been linked to different clubs around Europe. A player that
Mhm.
people looked at him and thought he could be one of the solutions for the Super Eagles midfield in the future. Now he has taken his talents to the United States, to the MLS. What is your initial reaction to this transfer, Alhassan Yusuf to New England Revolution?
Yeah, I was when I saw the rumor, I was praying that I hope the move doesn't happen. But unfortunately, fortunately for him, actually, what happened, I think that was his dream move. But for future sake, economical move than career move, and Alhassan Yusuf has not even proved himself in Europe. It's just it's just maybe he had 7 caps, for Super Eagles. I don't know how many caps he's got for Super
Mm.
Eagles. I don't think it's up to 7 no, for Super Eagles. So, it's someone that has not even established himself in the national team. So and he's moving to MLS. Oh no, all these players they know we can just analyze, but I think they know exactly what is happening. So they know maybe there's something that is happening we are not really sure of, and he thinks that is the best time to actually move. But for me, for Nigeria, this is not a good move. This is not a
Hmm.
good for I think that Alhassan Yusuf is a very good player. I think that he's a player that can still challenge in some European top five leagues. We kept on saying that Wolves, they are interested in him, but it's only scored Nigeria reporting that so, I know. So I just think that Segala can still do some things in Europe before leaving for MLS. But unfortunately now, one of our upcoming midfielders is in MLS. Another loss for the Super Eagles. But I think it's a game for him.
Hmm. And yeah, I think it was a move that shocked me as well. We heard the rumors a little bit, and then eventually it was made official. Moving to the MLS at this age is not what we want to see. It's not what we expect. But I always say football is a funny game because we don't know the specifics of what was going on in terms of offers, in terms of possibilities, in terms of opportunities for him. Of course, moving to the MLS at this age, you want to imagine that it is less about competition and more about the benefits, the economical benefits. But I don't know how we're going to judge him now. I don't know how we're going to judge him now based on the talents that we believe that he has, that we've seen in the 6 matches that he has played for the Super Eagles. We know that there is a very good player in there, and with the quality that he has, I would expect him to really do well in the MLS. But how do we then compare him doing well in the MLS to other players that are performing around Europe, that are playing that trade around Europe? But at the same time, does this now mean that we cannot call him up for the Super Eagles? Does this now mean that because he's in the MLS, even though we've seen him, we think he's a good player, does it mean that all of a sudden we can't, call him up again? He can't be a player for us, because when we're talking about ours here, when we're talking about the other players in the MLS, we spoke about how obviously going there reduces their chances of playing for the Super Eagles. But I find it interesting, do we now all of a sudden stop calling up Alhassan Yusuf and say, oh, because he's in the MLS, he's not good enough? Or will he still be a part of the team? And we see the impact that he can have on the field. We see the impact that he can have while he's in camp. Can he earn his spots in training? Smith, like, what are your thoughts around that? Is this his Super Eagles career essentially over?
For me, I think it's Super Eagles career if we have a sincere and actually what a guy that will not look at will not be partial. I think there's so many players ahead of him now. For why can't if you consider to why can't they be making moves to the MLS? He still want to prove himself in Europe before actually what leaves. I'm pretty sure that they will get half over to go to the MLS this window when he's free agent, but he still want to stay in England to actually want to prove himself. So if you are going to USA now, I think that is actually what you have a different agenda. So it's that you think that you don't care about Super Eagles again. It's that you think that okay, maybe probably he's looking at his family. For me, I think that he should not be called up again because he has not even done anything for Super Eagles. He has done nothing for Super Eagles. He only played one good match for Super Eagles. That was against Equatorial Guinea. After that, what says? So is he a player that will now say he's an integral member of the team? Well, he's not a integral member of the team. He has not done anything for Nigeria. It's on that Equatorial Guinea game. When he came back against Africa, he caused penalty.
Yeah.
So it's not as if you are missing him. So if he's going, you should just go there. He should not be called up again.
Mm.
Because it will be unfair. If a player is doing well in La Liga and you are calling up Alhassan Yusuf in MLS, no, it should not be good. It should not. It should go. It should just go. Bye bye. Unfortunately, after 6 games, that is premature retirement from Super Eagles.
Mm. Mm. So you think simply moving to the MLS cut him out? I mean, when I think about our midfield, do we have that many midfielders that are ready to come and take that spot? What do you think?
Does Alhassan Yusuf have any spot in Super Eagles?
I mean, he doesn't have a guaranteed spot, but he was there at the last tournament. So
He was
you
there at he was there at last tournament, but since then, how many games did he play? Since then, when the other guys came back, when they came back, how many games did Alhassan play? How many games did Alhassan play? So And we have some young players, Dele Bashiru coming into that same thing. He doesn't have any sport in Super Eagles. He's still trying to fight for his sport. So for me now, this is a new season now starting, and you said that we're having so many top players now in top five European leagues. Imagine one or two of them actually were performing well. Are you going to now come and defend Alhassan Yusuf's inclusion? You can't do that. So it doesn't have a sport in national team. It's just trying to fight for a spot in national team. But unfortunately, he gave up the fight even before. So I don't think that he should be called up.
Okay, okay. And I mean, I expect this to be a financially beneficial move for him. I'm not
Mhm.
sure. I'm not sure exactly how much he's making quite yet, but NFF, when the I say NFF, MLS, when the season goes on a little bit, they will release their player salary guide and we'll see how much he is making. But one thing that I know is that with the MLS, if you're a decent player in Europe, or a good enough player in Europe, and you decide to join their league, they tend to compensate you. They tend to compensate you pretty well. So maybe that could have been a motivation for him to join the team. I just want to look at his club very quickly. In his team, I'm looking at the kind of salaries. Somebody was saying somebody said the highest paid revolution players on 57K and 42K, the rest are 13K and below. The salary structure isn't that robust. I'm not sure how much 57K comes to in a week, that comes to in a year, but the revolution have some players on almost 2 million a year. They have players on 700K a year. They have players on 600K a year, 500K a year. They have another player on over a million. A bunch of players above 700,000 US dollars a year. So I don't really think that you're accurate with that thing. And the reality of it is that even if they give him 57K a week, do you think Antwerp is paying him 57K a week? There's Premier League clubs that wouldn't even pay him 57K a week as well. So at the end of the day, one thing that I look at is that, see, everybody plays this sport for different reasons. Everybody plays this sport for different reasons. Some people are very keen on, let me impose myself, let me show myself, let me see what I can, show what I can do and play at the highest level. Whereas some people are playing this thing to get their family out of the mud, and I'm not saying that that's his motivation, but you don't know why he's playing football. You don't know, he might be the only one from his family that is making a decent living and it's an opportunity to secure their futures, to get them in America, get them passports, get them green card, whatever the case may be. So at the end of the day, while it was not the move that we were expecting, I'm not going to knock him for it. Even if he doesn't get caught up to the Super Eagles again, I think, oh well, so be it. I'm somebody that I always say the football, your career doesn't revolve around the national team. Of course, playing for the national team is the highest honor that you can have for whatever country that you are from. And he has already achieved that honor. He has played for the national team. He has played for the national team at a major tournament. He has won a silver medal. He's Alhassan Yusuf, MON. So he has achieved quite a lot. There's something that they say success is relative. Success is not how far you go, is how far you go compared to where you started from. And I'm sure he didn't start from a very, very high point. So for what he has achieved in his career, I'm sure he's proud of himself, he's proud of his family. He probably saw an opportunity that he felt was just too good to let go. And in that situation, I can't blame anybody. I cannot blame anybody. If you bring me $2 million a year now, I'll leave my job, and I'll come and work for you. So,
Mhm.
so at the end of the day, it is what it is. I also think that it's going to be hard for him to make the national team. I think so. Even a player like Obina Nwobodo, who has been in the MLS for quite some time, they've not even mentioned his name or looked his way at all. So it's definitely going to be difficult for him. But let us see how it goes. Let us see how it goes. Maybe if he's like the best player in the MLS, competing with the Messis and the Busquets or something, maybe he can start to shout for himself. But at the end of the day, I wish him all the best, and I hope that he doesn't regret the decision. I don't think he will, but I hope that he's going to be very happy and pleased with the decision that he has made. Um, Let me just see what the comments are saying. Donald Shine says MLS is a big move financially for Alhassan, but a big down for his promising career. I wish him well though. Abdul Jalil says he should focus on his club football and forget Super Eagles because I don't believe he's getting caught up again. Let me see. Somebody says Victor Balogun says not the best move, but maybe this will give way for Ebenezer to steal his spot in the midfield. You know what did they say? One man meets another man's poison. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so as one door shuts for somebody else, another door opens for a different person. Chinwoke says I also feel Aribo will make his way back into the team, so maybe there's an opportunity for Aribo to become a mainstay in the team again. Um, Taiwo Punade says, honestly, I really do not see his impact on our games. He's an attacking or defensive midfielder. We have more players to give chances. Um, Miracle Naka says he's looking for US passports. I mean, we don't know that for a
You don't
fact,
know
but
it's not a
but
fact.
but even if that's the reason, the US passport is one of if not the
The
strongest
strongest.
passports in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So US passport is not a bad thing. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people would move through heaven and earth, I'll be and hell to get a US passport.
Mm-hmm.
Evertical says we have Aribo, Indidi, Chrysanthos, Iwobi, Fisayo, Frank, etc. Chrysanthos, yeah, we're jumping the gun a little bit. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but let us see how he plays this season for Hetafe
Mm-hmm.
before we talk about Super Eagles. I always like to say let's calm down a little bit when it comes to certain players. But Ndidi, of course, it will be of course, Fisaya, of course, Frank, of course. Let's see how it goes. Um Inamika says, in general, I think we have to focus on our players' performances across all leagues, both local and internationals, or any call up to the Super Eagles. Other nations focus on this way of call up. Um Adedoton says even American players are moving to Europe for more competitive football. Yes, American players are definitely moving to Europe. I mean, nobody can deny the fact that um, Europe is where it's at. You know, that's where the
Mm-hmm.
level of competition is high. But you know, America has its own benefits as well. Um, okay, Temi says I'm happy with building depth in midfield. All right, all right, all right. That is it on Alhassan Yusuf. Somebody said, I believe playing in Al Nassr or the CAF Champions League is better than MLS. I strongly disagree. I honestly strongly disagree. I don't think the MLS is weaker than Saudi. I'm sorry. I don't think it's weaker than Saudi. I definitely don't think it's weaker than is weaker than the CAF Champions League or teams in CAF Champions League. I disagree. And I know that we always clown and I've said that I know that we always clown the MLS. You know, they call it soccer, so we say they don't even know anything about football. But I watched the Saudi league to a fair extent because of our Nigerian players in Saudi. The Nwakeme was there last season, Xavier Godwin, Onyeka, and I watched the MLS because of players like Omo Bodo, players like Sunusi. I think the MLS is stronger than Saudi. Saudi is strengthening, but they are getting a lot of players that are just past their prime, past their best. Whereas the MLS, one of their strategies now is that they're trying to. That's why they're bringing players like ours and players like Yusuf. They're trying to get players that are not superstars, but not in their 30s. They're trying to make their league stronger. And I think the MLS is more competitive than Saudi League, in my own opinion. I mean, people might have different opinions, but if I actually watch both leagues to a fair extent. Um, but yeah, let us see what happens, and of course, um, let's hope that everything works out well for him. Okay. We have only so much time to go, so let's jump very quickly. I want us to just preview the different leagues, the top five leagues, and talk about the Nigerian players that are featuring in those leagues. We'll start from the French League One. According to my counts, we have 9 Nigerian players that could be playing in the French League One this season. We have Gibel Osho of AJ Auxerre. We have George Ilianikena of AS Monaco. We have Moses Simon of Nantes. We have Akor Adams of Montpellier. We have Tere Murphy and Victor Orapo of Nice. We have Gift Orban of Lyon. We have new signing Hamzat Ojediran of RC Lens. And we have Innocent Bonke of FC Lorient. Smith,
So
like,
Lawrence is League Two now.
oh yes, L'Oreal got relegated. Oh yeah, that's okay. So I should not be including them there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's 7 players. No, 8 players, not 9.
Mm-hmm.
But Smith, like, based out of the players that we see in the French League One this season, Osho, Eleni Kena, Simon, Adams, Murphy, Orakpo, Gift Urban, Ojediran, who are you expecting to shine? This season.
Victor Rapper.
Hmm.
You
Okay.
know,
Tell us
Victor.
why.
Victor, he's a guy that I followed him when he was part of the Bayern Munich's system. I think they took them to Germany then, but at the start of this preseason, I saw him play against is he Atayaspor? No, one club from Turkey at the start. When he came on, he controlled the game the way he's back to go, very good. And he's a very young player. So, and I also saw the 30 minutes extra they played against Ipswich. Ipswich in the Premier League. He also scored in that game too. So, it's a guy that I think that a lot of Nigeria might not know now, but after probably in January, they would know him better. So Victor Akpo, I expect Gift Urban to do his thing. I expect him to have a better season now. If he's not going to go have a move, if Urban is doing his thing, we'll not be surprised. Even if Simon is doing his thing, we'll not be surprised. I expect Akpo Adams to score a couple of goals. I expect Osho to do well. But that guy, Victor Akpo, is a guy who we have to watch out for. He's very strong in the air. Very strong in the air. Very, very strong in the air.
No, I like that shout. I like the shout that you gave there for Victor Rakpo. Of course, he's a relatively unknown player compared to the other names on that list, but I also believe that he's a good player. He was part of their preseason. The team that you were talking about was when he played against Rizespor, in preseason, and of course, he did well against Ipswich as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they use him. Hopefully, he's able to get a lot of games. He's only 18 years old, so he's one for the future, really. And it'll be great to see how he performs. I think I'm personally looking to see also Hamza Tojediran to see how he performs in Lens. It's a big move for him. In only 2 years of being a professional footballer, he's already going to Lens playing in the Ligue 1. It's going to be interesting to see how he's able to step up to that level. I'm really hoping that it works out well for him. Lens, of course, I believe are playing in the Europa League, Conference League. So let's see how that goes. Moses Simon, I'm expecting Moses Simon to do what Moses Simon does. He's going to get maybe his 10 goals or 8 goals, 7 assists, something like that. As long as he's able to stay fit. He got injured in the AFCON, of course, and then he has come back from that and played preseason for them. So I'm expecting to see what he's going to do. Akpo Adams, I'm hoping and believing that Akpo Adams is going to step up on his last season's performance. Remember last season, he started so hot for Montpellier, and then all of a sudden the fire quenched, and it was kind of just a low-key performance for the rest of the season. I'm believing and hoping that he's going to have his confidence back, and he's going to be able to be a quality goal scorer for Montpellier this season. Of course, Terry Murphy is injured, so before we see him, it's probably going to be like March, April. It's going to be a long time before Murphy plays, unfortunately. But yeah, and Onyeka, people are asking if he's wanting to play for Nigeria. The reason I included him here is because since he joined AS Monaco, they've been talking about him and hyping him as a Nigerian player. And a lot of people that know him that are close to the boy says that the boy really has Nigeria in his heart. So I'm believing that Onyeka, will be a good player for AS Monaco and potentially another option that we have in the attack for the Super Eagles. You want to say something?
I think the guy from Antwerp, what's it called? Is he Victor Udo? He posted something on his Instagram today that now leave me today. George, don't go. So the Nigerian people contingent, UK, you don't come out. Nobody so talk amo. So we know, and and Victor also spoke with one of our very close allies too, journalist, that the boy is Nigerian, true by himself. We hope that it's not going to be starting. I won't lie to you. It's going to be Balogun, probably was ahead of him. But I think that when he gets his opportunity, George will do something.
And it's funny you mentioned Victor Odo. I was actually chatting with him yesterday, after everything. And he was telling me, he's like, bro, that he said, that ginger that you just have when you see your brothers in your team, they're all training with you. This person is pushing hard. So you say if you want to push hard and do better than him, it was like, I know be waiting all these people tell me or say they don't abandon me for the club now. But I was just telling him that don't worry, Yusuf, you have talents now. In another 1-2 years, Yusuf will don't come out for here. He was like, that he knows, but it's just sad to lose his brothers, and everything, which I can understand. But hopefully Onyeka is able to do well. And the rest of the Nigerian players. Okay, just one question before we move on to the next league. Which player or which team do we think will have the best season in the French League One this season?
Yes, Monaco. Yes, Monaco. They signed some very intelligent players. Lami Camara. I saw them play against Barca yesterday. These are like stars to the team. In fact, because Mbappe less PSG now,
PSG.
I think AS Monaco might even win the league.
Mm,
I think George Lenikena, and his AS Monaco team can actually be the one to actually do well this season. So I'm also expecting I'm just getting us Arsenal's to actually perform well. They have a couple of very good players there. I saw their game against Southampton. I don't know what it was. No. There was a game they played against. I think Leicester City. Yeah, that's a very very decent. So I think they showed Leicester how they play football. So in that game, so you see that, and just to say something, when I'm just getting wrong, when during his unveiling, the president said that. Part of our policies that we're investing in young players, that he's a very good player from the Hungarian league and we expect a lot from him. So
mm,
I just think that Arsenal can actually do something, but I think AS Monaco will be the best.
Yes, Monaco will be the best. Okay, okay. I think let me see. If I had to guess who I think would have the best season, I want to go with somebody different. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with. Let me see. Maybe I would say OGC Nice, or Leon. I'll go with Nice. I'll just go with Nice. Of course, AS Monaco always compete for the title, so
Mm-hmm.
they are an obvious one. But I think Nice have a chance to maybe play in the qualify for the Champions League or fight for that top spot. Again, like you said, with an Mbappe-less PSG,
Mm-hmm.
other French teams they'll be licking their lips and rubbing
Lives,
their
yeah.
palms.
Yes.
Believing that now they finally have a chance. Now they
Yeah.
finally have a chance.
Yeah.
Okay, let us move on to another league. This time the Spanish La Liga. In the Spanish La Liga, we have 5 Nigerian players potentially that are going to be featuring. We have Crisantos Uche of Getafe. We have Chidera Ejuke and Kelechi Iheanacho of Sevilla. We have Sadiq Umar of Real Sociedad, and we have Babatunde Akinshola of Real Valladolid. Again, Uche, another exciting young prospect. We're hoping that he's able to do good things in the few preseason matches that we've seen him play so far. He looks like a player. He looks like a player. But of course, it's going to be very interesting to see how things stack up when the real season starts and then all the pressure is there, and everything that comes with it. Getafe is not really a team that we typically expect to be one of the challenging sides in La Liga. So of course, it's always difficult playing for a team that maybe half of your matches you're expected to lose. It's never that easy, but it's going to be interesting to see how he performs. Of course, Chidera Ejuke and Kelechi Iheanacho are new signings for Sevilla. Sevilla, who didn't have the best of seasons last year, finished 14th. And this year, they are really trying to see how they can step things up, how they can go back to their glory days, qualify for the Europa League, where we know that they always make themselves seen. Interesting to see how the players do well there. Sadiq Umar, there's an asterisk on this one because Umar might be on his way out of Sociedad, but as of now, nothing has been made official. So he's still a Sociedad player, and he might still be on the squad for their opening game of the season this weekend. And then Babatunde Akinshola for Real Valladolid. Real Valladolid, of course, are back in the La Liga after securing promotion this past season. Last season, I believe he played on loan.
Mhm.
Was it in
In Portugal.
Portugal?
Yeah.
Yes, in Portugal. And now he scored one goal for them in preseason. It seems like they want to keep him as part of their first team squad this season. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what the boy can do. So Smith, who are the players that are exciting you the most amongst our Nigerian contingent in La Liga?
Who I'm going to mention is Uche Santos. It's
Mm,
just a player that I don't know why I'm actually so excited to actually to see his progress. He's a guy that we because of him I watched all Getafe preseason games just to even the one where we say they are shooting the camera from one side where we say we don't see anything. I see they look for a way to actually watch him. What a player the guy is, and if I've been to now I follow them on Facebook. If I've been to their socials too, you can see they call him the Rock. The Rock is
mm,
loved by so many people. He was signing autograph. You can see, Naija, everything. The flavor is now there. About Uche Santos. What a player the boy will actually turn out to be. For me, I just think it's only what can stop him is his character. If he can get that one right, I think he's going to be a very, very good player. And
Mhm.
if he's not playing, he should be patient, because his time will come. I saw him play against Atletico Madrid, not perfect game, but I can tell you that it showed games that he's a very good player. So, and my major concern about the Santos Uche is that against Southampton, they asked him to go and play striker,
Mhm.
and he did well. So up front, so I don't know. Yeah, he can play nearly every position. So I just think that the coach should make sure that he's settled in one position, so that not to abuse his talent. I think that he's more comfortable in the midfield, and I think that he's going to benefit Nigeria more in that midfield. So for me, I think I do expect everything to do well. I think that Uche Santos will be a star player for Nigerian among Nigerian players in Spain.
Hmm. For me, I'll say the two players that I'm most excited to watch have to be Uche Santos, because I want to see how he develops. I want to see how he grows. I want
Mm-hmm.
to see how he performs at this level. A lot of players in the past, one of the players that we spoke about before, Kelechi Nwakali, we expected him to do well at this kind of level, but when he came to it, he didn't really perform. So of course, I'm not saying that will happen to Uche,
Uh-huh,
but
uh-huh.
I'm just
That's
saying that
different.
I'm just saying that nothing is guaranteed. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
nothing is guaranteed.
Uh-huh.
But I'm really keen to see how he plays at this level. And then the
Mm-hmm.
other player that I'm interested in really watching is Chidera Ejuke.
Mm-hmm.
Ejuke is a player that you guys know is I like Ejuke. I've been following him since before he came into even Nigerian attention. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, over the past 3 years, moving to Russia and then the war happening, going to Germany and then getting injured, getting relegated, things had not been going too well for him. He played at
Mm-hmm.
Antwerp last season, was able to revive himself a little bit, and then now made this move to Sevilla, where Sevilla are trying to challenge again in the La Liga. So I want to see what kind of impact he can have for Sevilla. I watched a number of their preseason games, and Eduke was quite good. I've said this before that Eduke is the most exciting Nigerian player to watch since JJ Okocha, just in terms of what he does on the ball, in terms of the tricks, everything like that. And has already been shown it at Sevilla. But now at this high level in La Liga, how do you convert those tricks, the skills into outputs, into goals and assists? Those are things that people were really looking out for. We want to really see him make an impact on his team's success, drive the team into positive results, drive the team to get victories, drive the team up the table. I believe that this is a chance for Educate to revive himself and get back into Super Eagles contention. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that turns out for him. But Smith Lai, which team or which Nigerian player and his team are you expecting to have the best season in the La
You know,
Liga?
I think I'm just expecting Sevilla to do their usual thing. They are not playing in Europe now for the first time in how many years. So and I think the Sevilla coach, I know him very well. He was the former coach of Bakabi. So I know his philosophy is a very hard, very pragmatic, coach. So
Hmm.
I expect him to get Sevilla back on track and for them to actually finish at least in top six. So I think Sevilla should be having the best season among them.
And I mean, I think I would have to go with. I mean, funny enough, I would actually go with Sociedad, because Sociedad tends to be a team that
More
competes
stable.
at more stable. They usually end up in top six, top seven of the
Mhm,
league.
mhm,
But again, Sevilla, they had a bad last season, and this is an opportunity for them to step it up with the Nigerian boys that they brought into the team.
mhm,
Maybe they can reach there. In the comments, I see Temi is saying Sevilla. Chinwoke says all eyes on Sevilla and Crisantos. Victor Balogun says Sevilla is my La Liga team, Eduke and Senior Man. Chinwoke says Eduke can be exciting on the wings. I'm really looking forward to his performances. Temi says Eduke and Uche. Um, and then Donna Shine says an injury free Eduke is going to be lit. Yes, I definitely think if he can stay fit, he could have a fine season for Sevilla. Okay, let's move on very quickly. We have three more leagues to take. Now we're going to the Italian Serie A. According to my count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Nigerian players that potentially will be featuring in the Italian Serie A. We have Samuel Chukwueze of AC Milan. We have Ademola Lukman of Atalanta. We have Tyrone Ebuehi of Empoli. we have David Ankeye of Genoa, we have Fisayo Dele Bashiru of Lazio. We still have Victor Osimhen of Napoli, even though we don't know what's happening over there. And then we have Maduka Okoye and Isaac Success of Udinese. Chukwueze will be hoping to step it up from what he did last season, hoping to be able to get more opportunities from the start, hoping to fight his way into the starting 11 of the team. Lookman, we know what Lookman does. Atlanta best player for 2 seasons in a row. Led them to the Europa League last season. Is playing in the Super Cup tomorrow. So we're expecting big things from Arima Lookman again. Empoli, a team that tends to struggle a little bit, but Ebue, he has shown to be one of their more solid, more consistent players over there. Ankeye with Genoa, David Ankeye moved from FC Sheriff, in Moldova. I believe that's where he moved, to Genoa. And we'll be hoping that he can make his impact felt. Fisayo Dele Bashiru, new signing for Lazio. Of course, we know the quality that he has. Lazio is also a team that is trying to get back on track, trying to get back to their usual standards, and we're hoping that Fisayo Dele Bashiru can be a solution for that. Victor Osimhen, Napoli, we know what Victor Osimhen does, we know what he brings. Unfortunately, it looks like he's, for sure going to leave Napoli, even though there's still so many issues with his transfer. But for now, he's on the list. And then Maduka Okoye and Isaac Success. Okoye, of course, established himself as the first choice goalkeeper for Udinese last season. Has declared his intention to return to the Super Eagles. So this could be a season for him to really show us that he's back to his best, and is even improving. And maybe he can just be a key player for his club and also for the country. Isaac Success is also there, but with all due respect to Isaac Success, I don't think anybody's excited to watch him play that much. He's probably going to be on the bench for a lot of the games, but he's a good player. He'll get a few goals in the season, and that's pretty much it. So Smith Layi, who are you most excited to watch in the Italian Serie A this season?
I know. We know what to get from Lookman. We know that Lookman is probably their best player, but for me, I'm going to pick Samuel Chukwueze because this is like under a different manager now, and there's now a lot of hype. Like we said last time, man of the match against Real Madrid. He did well against Man City, so good precision. But I think the one that Pulisic came, I think Pulisic. So when I saw Pulisic scoring again, these are all the rest. I feel like he just finished Copa America now. Rest more, make we enjoy this. So, but I think I'm excited about Samuel Chukwueze. I think that he might be playing a different role for AC Milan this year. So I think that he's a player I actually really want to watch. I want to see. I'll be watching AC Milan game now regularly as far as Chukwueze is going to be playing. So I think Samuel Chukwueze is a player I'm watching now. I know that I'm tempted to pick Dele Bashiru, but it's just that between Dele Bashiru and Samuel Chukwueze, I think I'm just going for. I know what to expect from Maduka Okoye and Lookman. So, and I'm not picking Victor Osimhen because it's just a matter of time. Yeah. So that's the reason why I'm going for Samuel Chukwueze.
I think I would also agree with you, and I'll go with Samuel Chukwueze. Chukwueze is a player that has so much talent. He still has so much talent. He has so much potential. Like you mentioned on the previous episode where we spoke about his preseason form. What he has just lacked for a long time is that consistency. Is that ability to do it every week or to do it 8 out of 10 weeks. Give us 8 out of 10 quality performances, and we'll know that he's a true proper player. He hasn't been able to show it yet, but like you said, a new manager, a new system, a new season. Maybe this is just everything that Chukwueze needs to be able to shine and to be able to establish himself in the AC Milan team, establish himself in Italian Serie A. So I'm really interested in seeing what he brings to the table. Lookman, we know what we're going to get from him. Okoye, we know what we're going to get from him. Osimhen is pretty much out the door. Dele Bashiru, another exciting one. But I think I have more hope for AC Milan than I do for Lazio. So that's why Chukwueze is just more exciting for me than Lazio. But Smith Layi, of all these teams, of all these players, who are you expecting to have the best season in Italian Serie
A? I think it's Atlanta. Atlanta, they did very well last year. They won the Europa League. They finished in the top 3, maybe top 4 again, last year, under Gasparini. So I expect Atlanta to actually to compete for the title this year. They're also doing very well in the transfer market. There's some big clubs too that are trying to peep their their best players too. But they're also trying to see solutions and how to actually get players too. And don't forget that there is no AFCON this year, so Lukman will not leave them. So Bookman might probably have a potential full season with them. So Antique Atlanta, we should be able to compete for the Serie A this year. And also, I know Skamaka is out. I think he's got ACL injury. Skamaka. So
Yeah.
that is a big blow for Atlanta. But I think that I still expect them to do well under
Mm,
Gasparini. Him,
mm.
the master tactician.
Okay, I think for me, I'll go with AC Milan. I think AC Milan are a team that always competes for the Serie A title. And they are going to be there about again. Of course, last season they finished second behind their rivals Inter. So I think with a new coach, with a newfound confidence, with a newfound belief, maybe this year could be the year. I know that one AC Milan fan is probably watching this live now saying that yes, they're going to compete. So for once, I'm going to side with you and say I have expectations for AC Milan. I don't think they will do anything in Europe. Don't get me wrong, nothing in
Mhm.
Europe. But I think within Italy, they of course have a chance to potentially win the title. Atalanta have a chance as well, but I just think AC Milan will edge them out. Maybe AC Milan finishes second, Atalanta finishes third or fourth, just like last season. Juve, I don't really have too high hopes for them, so I don't think Juve will be winning the league. So I think he opens the door for other teams. Atalanta, I just have this fear of Atalanta maybe not being able to match the heights of last season. They're always thereabouts. They're always a team that finishes fifth, finishes fourth, finishes third. But I don't know with their with the more games that are going to be playing this season, tougher games that are going to be playing in the Champions League, playing as the defending Europa champions, a lot of people that were not so aware of their quality last season now know the quality that they have, with people like Lukman. I just think it wouldn't be so easy for them. So I would say AC Milan for me, probably the team that is going to have the best season. Let me just take the comments very, very quickly. Um, Somebody said don't count Osimhen because Osimhen is probably already through the door. It's just a matter of time. Chinwoke says really expecting Chukwueze to do well. Balogun says Lukman at Atalanta. Temilade says Lazio and Dele Bashiru. Temi says Fisayo is the most exciting time to see him in a big boys league. And yeah, let me see. Donna Shine says Chukwueze is in Rafael Leao's category, but he doesn't know that, at least not yet. Abdul Jalil says I'm 100% sure Chukwueze will perform very well this season, but Lukman will also have a good season, even far better than last season. Okay, okay. Let's move on very quickly. Let us move on because of time. We have two more leagues to cover. The German Bundesliga. This is the top five league that has the fewest Nigerian players. By my count, we have three Nigerian players that are going to be featuring in the Bundesliga this season. We have Victor Boniface and Nathan Teller of Bayer Leverkusen, of course, defending champions. And we have Kevin Akpoguma of TSG Hoffenheim. Akpoguma, of course, relatively forgotten player when it comes to the Super Eagles, but still one of the key pieces in the cog of TSG Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim, of course, finished seventh last season and are going to play in the Europa League, whereas Leverkusen are going to play in the Champions League as the Bundesliga champions. Smith Layi, who are you most excited to see this season?
I think we say Nathan Taylor. I realized that he's been getting some game time during preseason. Don't forget last time he didn't really have preseason with Bayern Leverkusen, so now he's getting more opportunity with them. So I think I want to see what he will be able to do. Now it seems part of the Alonso plan. I want to see exactly what he will be able to do for Bayern Leverkusen this season. I think we only have three players to choose from. Apologies to Amaka's boyfriend. I'm going to go for Tella. I think Tella is the player I'm looking. I want to see what he's going to do.
Mm. I think for me, I'll go with Victor Boniface.
Mm,
While I like Nantella and I want to see how he does, but Boniface, last season he was having a fantastic year, rookie of season, rookie of the season, and then unfortunately he suffers that injury before the Afcon, and he
mhm,
wasn't able to come back until towards the end of the season. When he
mhm,
came towards the end of the season, he was essentially a bench player because the
mhm,
team had figured out a solution without him, and
Yeah.
Alonso did not just want to change things, all of a sudden because they were on their title charge and on their unbeaten charge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Boniface can do. Hopefully, he has an injury-free year. Can work his way back into becoming a starter for Bayer Leverkusen. And it's very different when you go from being the hunter to being the hunted. It's a
Mm-hmm.
different feeling. The
Mm-hmm.
pressure is going to be mounted on them a lot more. Bayern are, of course, wanting to reclaim their crown, even though Bayern is not a very serious team right now. But of course, they will want to reclaim their crown. So I want to see what kind of output Victor Boniface can have. Can he have 20 goals, 10 assists? Let's see. Of course, we
Mm-hmm.
know that some teams are already interested in him, but he decided to stay put. He decided to stay with Leverkusen, continue to work on their project. Has a fantastic coach that believes in him. So for me, I'm really looking forward to seeing Victor Boniface in this new season. And of course, in terms of which team we expect to do well, I think we expect Leverkusen to be better than Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim are a good team, but I don't really see them competing for the title. So I'm going to go with Leverkusen on that one. I'm assuming you agree with me, Smith Lai.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think we'll be watching a lot of Hoffenheim games. I think it's going to be Bayer Leverkusen. I nearly watched all their games last year.
Mhm.
I think I watched like 90% of their games last year. So I think it's Hoffenheim. So we might be having another player journey of very soon. But we'll see how it turns out this week.
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Okay, and then final league to preview. And if you would like to come on and share your thoughts, we will give about 10 minutes for people to come on.
Yeah.
So I'll post the link now. So just get ready. Make sure you have a camera. Make sure you're well dressed. There's decent lighting so we can see your face. And then we'll give about 10 minutes just for people to come on. Everybody will have about 1-2 minutes to speak. Unfortunately, we don't have that much time. But yeah, final league, the English Premier League. By my count, we have 10 Nigerian players in the English Premier League this season. The number might reduce, the number might increase before the window closes, but as of now, we have 10 players. We have Frank Onyeka and Benjamin Frederick in Brentford. We have Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey in Fulham. We have Wilfred Ndidi in Leicester City. We have Awoni Taiwo, we have Ola Eno, we have Emmanuel Dennis at Nottingham Forest, and then we have Joe Aribo and Paul Onwachu in Southampton. So this one, of course, we already spoke about Onyeka potentially moving away from Brentford, but we have a new player that is coming into the mix. Benjamin Frederick was on the bench for them in a couple games last season, has played for them in a number of preseason matches, and he's an option for them in their first team this new season. Alex Iwobi,
Sorry, sorry.
Calvin.
I see. Sorry, somebody was trying to correct you that you didn't mention Felix Agu. Despite him coming out as he's a Nigerian, he want to play for Nigeria. He want to play for Super Eagles. Say you never considered him as as part of the.
Okay, maybe when he does his passport, I'll
He's got a
I'll, I'll
passport already.
okay. Is he registered as a Nigerian player now?
No, he's not a Nigerian player.
When he registers as a Nigerian player, I'll pay more attention to him. But for now, I'll keep a side eye on him. But yes,
Okay.
Premier League. So we have Alex Iwobi, Calvin Bassey, Fulham. We kind of know what we're going to get out of them out of Fulham.
Mm-hmm.
Bassey will probably be hoping for a better season. Iwobi will also be hoping for a better season, even though he was one of Fulham's chief creators last year. Ndidi, of course, decided to stay with Leicester City back in the Premier League. We would like to see how Ndidi can compete at this highest level. Awoni, I know Dennis probably is going to be on the move before the transfer window closes. But Nottingham Forest, of course, expect them to be a team that is fighting relegation again, again this season. But we're hoping that our Nigerian players can stand out for them. And then Joe Aribo, Paul Onwachu with Southampton. Onwachu as well might be on the move before the transfer window closes. Aribo, of course, has become a decent player for Southampton. So I would expect Aribo to stay. And let's see what he can do. So Smith, like, who are you most excited to watch in the English Premier League this season?
For me, I want to see what Taiwo will do again. Don't forget that it was like a roller coaster. I won't say roller coaster season last year. Up and down. It was in was it, they lost their manager. It was sacked. It wasn't getting a lot of playing time. But don't forget that it was a player that scored like 7 goals in 7 games. Towards the end of 2 seasons ago. So I think that I want to see exactly what he will do. Fantastic. We want to see how he will fit into the Forest team. I would have loved to pick Benjamin Fredericks too now, but unfortunately, we don't know. Maybe he's gonna go on loan or he's gonna stay with them. So I think looking at how I want to look at exactly what he will be able to do this year, because when he scored 7 goals in 7 games, that was close to being, if he can continue like that, that would have been African Player of the Year for, But unfortunately, things didn't actually work out well due to injury. So I want to see exactly what he will be able to do now, because this season is like to prove himself very well.
Mm. For me, I can't choose one. I'm going to choose three players. I'm going to choose
Okay,
three
then you
players.
just give me a chance to choose Saratu.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Go on.
So another player that I actually I would like to actually see is Wilfred Ndidi, again. Because don't forget that he left for the championship, he did well in the championship. Now we want to see maybe he's a Premier League world player. We want to see maybe he's still in touch with the top level game. We want to see exactly what he's going to actually do. So the last player I'm going to talk about, I think I'm going to actually finally pick Benjamin Fredericks. It's a player that I saw him play in preseason, decent player. I know that he will not be starting, but he can be playing those cup games. Coming on, making the match day squad, traveling and everything. He's a player that I think that we need to watch out for in the Super Eagles. I think in 3 years' time, he might play a very important role for Nigeria. So I want to see exactly how you can, it's going to break record for a player to move from an amateur club in Nigeria, indirectly, some academy to the Premier League. That's gonna be a success for even Nigerian game.
All right. You picked some of the players I wanted to pick, but for me, my three players that I want to see. First one is going to be Benjamin Frederick. Of course, we still have to see whether he goes on loan or whether he stays with the first team. But assuming he stays with the first team, I would really be interested in seeing how he's able to perform at the Premier League level. Most difficult league in the world, in my own opinion. So it's a big step up for him. Will he be able to keep up? Will he be able to perform? It's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. He's a player with a lot of potential, a player that a lot of people believe in, a quality young defender, and let us see how that pans out for him. My second player is Wilfred Ndidi. For the same reasons that you mentioned, Ndidi, of course, was a mainstay, key player, one of the captains of the Super Eagles team, and then of course, kind of got injured a little bit and then went out of form. Went to the championship with Leicester last year and had a good season playing under Enzo Maresca. Unfortunately, Maresca has moved on to bigger and better things. And Ndidi will be hoping that in the Premier League he can show himself to be this kind of level, this kind of quality player again. Remember that when Ndidi was first in the Premier League before, his name was entering the conversations with some of the best defensive midfielders in the world.
Yeah,
So now that he's supposed to be at his peak, now that he's back playing in the Premier League, can he get himself into those conversations again? That's what I'm really looking forward to seeing. I hope he can. I hope it goes well for him. But I think indeed he's somebody that I'm going to be paying attention to see how things pan out for him. And then my third player to watch is Joe Aribo. Joe Aribo, as we all know, made this move to Southampton and things did not quite go according to plan for him. But over the course of the last season, playing in the championship with Southampton, Aribo ended up establishing himself as one of their quality key players. Good performance after good performance after good performance. Even when he doesn't score, when he doesn't assist, he still makes his impact felt on the field. Had a decent preseason for them as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he can do in the English Premier League. If he does well in the English Premier League, of course, it will stake a big claim for him in the Super Eagles as well. To give him another opportunity to show himself with the Nigerian national team. So I'm really interested in seeing how things go for him over there. Nobody in Forest is that exciting. Awoni, I love Awoni, but I kind of know what I'm going to get from Nottingham Forest. Awoni will probably score between 10 to 15 goals. Forest to struggle with relegation, and that's pretty much going to be it. Iwobi and Calvin Bassey would have decent seasons. Fulham will be a mid-table team. That's pretty much it. So yeah, Frederick, Indidi, and Joe Aribo. For me, those are the three players that I'm really, really looking forward to seeing in the Premier League this season. So as of today that we're recording this, August 13th, 2024, we have 34 Nigerian players in the top 5 leagues in Europe. And of course, like people called out already, I'm not necessarily considering some of the ones that are Nigerian but haven't fully, changed their allegiance, or maybe they haven't really changed their passport and not registered as Nigerians. So there are even more here and there. But the ones that we're 100% sure of, there are 34 of them, 34 Nigerian players. Again, like I said, I don't know how it was in previous seasons, but I'm happy that we have at least up to 30, players that are in the top 5 leagues this season. We want to see our Nigerian players competing at the highest level of football. And of course, if the players that we have at these levels are able to do well, are able to impress, it would even open up more doors for other young players, for other players to make their ways into these different top 5 leagues. The number might reduce before the window closes, the number might increase before the window closes, depending on what happens in the transfer market. But I think it's definitely good times, definitely exciting times for Nigerian football. And of course, let us hope that the success that our players are having at club level can be translated into international success when they play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Okay, so we have one caller. Mr. Adedotun, you have 2 minutes to just share your thoughts on whatever topic you want to discuss very quickly, and then we'll wrap up for this evening. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Let me just go to the point. I also want to see future presenters, and I want Samuel Chukwueze to replicate the same form when the league starts. When the league starts, I want to replicate the same form. Then, you said something about that. Alhassan Yusuf moving to US, that might reduce the chances of playing for 5 years. But you should know that in our country, Nigeria, any player can be invited from anywhere. You can invite players from Bangladesh. So if we invite players from Nepal in Tanzania, who says can bring players a player from America? That is that. But to me, for me, that's a very wrong move. Very wrong move. And for Benjamin Davis, exciting young boy, I like him, but I would still say if the coach wants to use me, probably for top games, I think he should stay. But if he's not going to sit on the bench, I will work for him to go into that championship, all those relegation band teams. Then now let me now come to you guys personally, the two of you. Please, learn to give respect to AC Milan. Please. Smith was saying, as Atlanta winning the league, go and give them the inspirator now. Go and give it to them. And AyoT, mind your statement. You have been saying it for long. That you don't see Milan going to Europe. Have you forgotten that you are the second most successful Champions League team? Go and check all the ratings when it comes to Champions League. Go and look at rating against Milan. Please, let us give respect to whom respect is due. Please, don't allow, I can't be talking to Chelsea fans or Arsenal fans because you don't know what it takes for what it means to win multiple Champions League trophies. When maybe in Chelsea, AyoT, maybe you can talk because you have to. But I've been seeing Arsenal fans commenting. Please don't give them room to talk. Please respect your senior so that people coming after you will not respect you. Please stop saying that about AC Milan. AyoT, I came to that come about about Milan. Not the two of you. Please don't allow
All
a window shopping club to be talking to me.
right.
Please, thank you for that.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Adedotun. Always nice to hear from you. Adedotun, as always, upset about the comments that we made about AC Milan, but until all this history that is talking about second most successful, until you do it in recent times, eh, we don't care. We don't care. But congratulations to AC Milan on being a second most successful team in the UEFA Champions League. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for rocking with us. We've covered a lot today. We've nearly hit the 2 hour mark. And yes, like I said, lots of Nigerian players in the top 5 leagues this season. We really hope that they can all perform well. We hope that number even increases before the window ends. And then, of course, we will talk about the players in the Champions League, Europa League, Conference League as well in the coming episodes. We're just waiting for the qualifiers to be completed and to know exactly who is performing. You know, some people are struggling to qualify. Some people are kind of smooth sailing to qualification. But there are a lot of Nigerian players playing in the qualifiers, so we expect that number to still be a considerable size when everything is finalized. Smith Layi, final word before we wrap up for today.
Just want to appreciate sort of everybody who actually was joining. I can see some people still asking for talk about Osimhen. None the tire. Every episode we talk about Osimhen. I beg, free us today. So I appreciate everybody for joining. Fantastic episode again. Join us again next week, and don't forget to like and share this video. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, guys. And like Smith Layi said, when something official happens, we'll come and talk about it with the Osimhen matter. But just every year, I'll be every episode repeating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
It's a bit tiring. Let something happen first.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into it. There's so much other things to talk about. So many other things to discuss. And let's try to give other people their due credit. But yes, of course, the top 5 leagues are kicking off this weekend. We'll be watching a lot of Nigerian players in action. Lots of games, lots of action, and hopefully we have a lot to celebrate in 2024/2025. Thank you for rocking with us. If you are on YouTube and you haven't liked this video, please make sure you like the video before you leave. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you never miss any video or any live stream. As far as what to expect in terms of content, I have an interview with Ebele that's coming out this week on Failingly. It's already late. It should have come out already, but because I was traveling because of the Olympics, I had to put it on hold. But it is fully edited and ready to go. So that video should be live on our channel on Friday. I have an interview with Nicole Payne that should come out the week after. I have an interview with Francis Zoho that should come out the week after that. The interview with Francis Zoho was amazing. He answered every question that I asked him. I was expecting that he might maybe shy away from a couple things, not want to touch on everything. I asked him anything that you can think of about the Saudi Arabia, about the Ghana game, about the message on Snapchat, about playing in second division, about his chances with the Super Eagles. I asked him everything and he answered all. The interview was even almost 2 hours long, even though we initially said we'll do 1 hour. As the call was going, I was like, bro, over time, or should we end it? He said, no, keep on asking, So I was really surprised because he told me, he said normally he does not like to talk, with media, but I guess, I made him comfortable and he enjoyed it. He told me that he enjoyed it. So that interview is going to be a very, very interesting one. It should drop in 2 weeks. Francis Zoho, he bet it all. He answered everything, spoke about what he regrets, what he's happy about, gave a message to Nigerians that are always criticizing him, spoke about mental health and how he deals with criticism. Just so much, spoke about the down moments in his career, everything, so watch out for that one, Francis Zoho. And he's a nice guy at the end of the day, football aside, he's a family man. While we're recording, his kids were coming into the camera, coming to disturb him, showed a little bit more about the human side of him. Sometimes people always look at footballers and they forget that they are human beings at the end of the day.
They're like that robot.
But it was nice to see. I thoroughly enjoyed talking with him. I thought he would be nervous to answer some questions, but he told me, he said, bro, ask everything. He said, just ask everything. And I did, and it was a really interesting one. Nearly 2 hours long, but I'm sure that you guys will enjoy it when you watch it. But yes, for now, Ebele on Friday, Nicole Payne next Friday, and then Ozoho 2 weeks time. It will be an exciting one. I'm sure you guys would want to watch it. But yes, for today, it is goodbye. Thank you very much for rocking with us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe so that you never miss an episode, you never miss anything that we're doing. And of course, we'll keep on serving you guys with back to back Niger football content. As always, my name is AyoT. My co-host is